so excited to be here. Thank you. I'm sort of addicted to my schedule and my to-do list, and I want to let that go because I keep filling it with more work when I want to fill it with more time for me, meditation and such.
Well, you might ask yourself, though, because there's a good amount of that work that is very satisfying to you. And so don't just call it work or activity, because having something that you're inspired to feels really good. Esther could be sitting home somewhere on a mountain in Utah. You could all be too. But isn't this also a nice way to spend some time together? You might want to call this work. You might want to call it play. It certainly is a classroom of extreme proportions. In other words, we are really getting to the nitty-gritty of creation. There's nothing more productive that you could do but what you're reaching for. And one of the things that Esther has discovered that's helped her in this regard, because she's busy too and sort of addicted to that, because there are things that must be done in order to keep things moving along as you want them to be moving along. But we offered her some words the other day that have soothed that for her, and maybe it will soothe you too. We said to Esther, because she's always considered herself to be a rather practical person, she's going to get the job done. She needs to be somewhere. She's going to figure out a way to be there and so forth. If the computer needs to be programmed, she'll figure out a way to program it or find somebody who can, and she wants to be in on it, and blah, 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 on and on and on it goes. And so you can get yourself pretty engaged in the activities of life. And the activities of life, when they come from inspiration, are delicious. It's the activities of life or the action of life that you are doing not from your connected place. So many people get themselves into a sort of vibrational wad with their thoughts, and then they try to fix it through their actions. Well, that never works. It just makes you exhausted. Where if you let your inspired actions be what's dominant in your experience, then there's all that leverage that we've been talking about all day here today. So the words that we offered to Esther that have really helped her to make this bridge is, Esther, there is nothing more practical that you might do than daydream today, because there's leverage. So imagine a crew, and they're going to build a big waterfall kind of fountain, and there are huge boulders, and this crew has put straps on the boulders, and they have a crane, and they're using the leverage and the physics that they've learned from long before any of you were born, and they pick up these big boulders and they place them. That's leverage. Or they could all struggle, get enough people together that they could drag something to a new place. But you understand leverage. There's leverage in a fulcrum. Or do you just want to pick it up with your own muscles? In other words, there's so much leverage that you understand. So why not access the leverage of the universe that creates worlds by doing the most leveraged or practical thing that you could do, which is get yourself into a good feeling place and let the most productive, powerful path of least resistance thought download into your open and free and non-resistant mind. Or you can struggle your way.
I've been doing the struggling, and I guess through meditation is what you're suggesting, maybe, to allow that.
It is, but here's the difference between meditation and what we're talking about. Because for a long time, we found that it was easier to teach you to think no thought than to think pure positive thought. Because you've got a reason for every thought that you're thinking. Sort of like the two competing conversations that we talked about earlier today, where they believe one thing and you believe another, and it just becomes a sort of battle where you both dig into your positions and no light ever shines on the subject. Well, a lot of times you've got that tug of war going on within you. And so when we encourage you to quiet your mind, often the thoughts that we're asking you to quiet are resistant in nature. And if you think that you're going to talk yourself out of those beliefs, you're not going to do it anytime soon. But you could focus upon the air conditioner and therefore cause those thoughts to not be active. And when those thoughts aren't active, then it's easier to change them. Does that make sense? Here's a statement we've never made before. You cannot change in this moment an actively vibrating thought to something else, because the law of attraction is going to continue to produce more of the vibration that is active. Did you follow that? So what are you going to do? You got to take that actively vibrating thought and deactivate it so that law of attraction isn't pulling it that way, and then you can take it easily that way. We've never said that before. Did you follow that? That's that leverage of thought. When you allow yourself to tune into this powerful non-physical energy where the true leverage is, and you make the association between that, then you have a powerful tool that you can utilize. So here's the difference between the meditation that we've been encouraging you and the daydream that we're talking about here today. Are you interested?
Yes.
Meditation helps you to get out ahead. Meditation stops the resistance and puts you in a receptive place. And then in that receptive place, the ingredients from the vortex can be received by you in the form of a thought or an impulse. And that's what we're calling the daydream. It's coming from somewhere. It's coming from all of the beautiful things that you've been asking for. It's coming from the carefully crafted and carefully honed and carefully sifted pile of life experience. It's the culmination. It's the best of what you've asked for, even before you came into this body and since you got here. And it's been being tended by your inner being and focused upon by your inner being. And when you get your vibration just right, then it can occur to you in this blissful daydream. You used to do it when you were kids. You daydreamed all the time until somebody told you you were lazy. You daydreamed all the time until somebody told you your dreams weren't practical. You daydreamed all the time until what was got more of your attention and seemed more practical. But there is nothing more practical or more powerful than the daydream.
Very good. I'm going to do more of it.
So, what is the daydream? It is law of attraction's momentum on a vibration. What's the nightmare? It's law of attraction's response to a vibration. The law of attraction is at the heart of either the daydream or the nightmare. It's just what influence are you under when you're daydreaming? What influence are you under when you're nightmaring? Have you ever got on one of those rants? Have you? Somebody mentioned something. You've lived something like that. You think about it. Then you think about something else. Then you mention to somebody. They've lived it. And before you know it, it's all around you. And all it is a response to the vibration that you started without needing to. Yeah. Something more?
No, I think that's it.
So what'd you get just now?
To allow the vibration from the vortex, from source, to be more dominant and to drop the other end of the stick.
There's nothing more practical that you could do than that. There's nothing more productive or practical than to utilize this leverage. And we really want you to think about it. Don't go out there and pick up big things and move them around. It's just not necessary when there's cranes and stuff.
Right. Very good. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, thanks.
We think this was a practical and productive and life-giving conversation. And we are appreciating not only those who sat here and spoke it out loud, but all of the contribution that you offered through the things that you've been living and your responses to what we are talking about here. You are different now, and there's nothing to worry about except that you are different now. Your vibration has shifted because you felt resonance with these universal laws, and you've activated within yourself a sort of temporary, doesn't need to be, but it usually is, a sort of temporary set point in your vibration, which means your relationship with everything absolutely has shifted, and your awareness of the evidence of that shift is really going to be important to you. If you can make the correlation between the shifting at the center of you and what it means out on the outer edges of what comes to you, you will feel a new form of empowerment. There is nothing serious going on here, in the sense that there's not something that you're supposed to be doing that you're not doing. From our point of view, we want you to be enjoying your life more than you are. We would like you to leave behind your notions of sacrifice and service while you find your true selfishness and alignment with who you really are. And once you accomplish that, you will be of the greatest service to humanity that anyone could ever be. One who's connected to the stream can accomplish so much, you see. So be playful. There's an attitude of seriousness that is in the room here because you want so much to understand how this works. And it is our knowing that you do now understand how this works. Play your way into your alignment and then revel in the results of that alignment. Don't try to explain this to others. Well, you can if you want, but it's not the path of least resistance. And the more you try to explain to them, the more they will want to present to you evidence about why what you think you're doing isn't going to work, where what you think you're going to do is going to work. It is our promise to you. Just let this vibrational set point linger within you, and your only assignment, we don't usually give assignments, but we're going to give you an assignment. Your only assignment is to see if you can personally discover what we mean by a daydream. If you can find yourself in a pleasant thought that you're just allowing to form itself like a movie that you are watching for pleasure rather than a movie that you are creating for abundance or for recognition. This isn't a movie or a screenplay that you are creating so that others will look at it and benefit or revere you. This is a movie that you're just watching for pleasure. It's a movie with all the ingredients that you've put into your vortex, and your inner being is the director of it, because your inner being knows all of the pieces that you put there and what the main plot is and where you stand in relationship to it and where you'll be most interested or most likely to jump in. So don't expect it to be some flaming writing on the wall or some burning bush or some magical something coming into your experience. It's going to be natural and easy and subtle, but you will recognize it when it comes. There is great love here for you. And for now, we are complete. It's going to be natural and easy and subtle, but you will recognize it when it comes. There is great love here for you. And for now, we are complete.